All right, guys, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. I hope you are doing well. And yeah, you're the best. Sunglasses on, regular glasses broke. Let's talk about The Weeknd. His new show, The Idol. Episodes have been airing. People are posting clips, and on Twitter, they are reacting. There's a lot of very not positive takes on some of the dialogue and acting that we have seen so far. Many of the comments and takes talking about how cringe and awful it is. Some of them going as far as to say that Abel should be canceled for some of the content of the show. There were discussions along these lines. I remember prior to the release of the show, in that there were some particular scenes in a script that were especially heinous and gross that people found questionable. Honestly, I'm not really getting or understanding what people are so up in arms about with regard to this. Look, I'll come out front here and say, I haven't seen the show, and this video isn't necessarily a commentary on the quality of the show. Could the show be awful? Could it be badly acted? Could it be cringe? Yes, it very much could. However, I feel like what people are so disgusted about with the show and what they're finding to be cringe about certain elements that are floating around the internet just doesn't really make total sense, and I feel like is based in a misunderstanding of Abel as an artist and the potential artistic intent of the show. Because again, there do seem to be some people who are just very unhappy with some of the goings on plot-wise within the series and, Abel's character. And there have been some interview clips that have been released since that pretty much say, look, you're not supposed to like the character. The character is a bad guy. He is a bad man. He is not supposed to be somebody who you think is cool or idolize or want to, embody in any way. And look, I think there can be potentially great art that comes out of portraying or, focusing in on narratively somebody who is a bad or an awful or an unlikable person. Character portraits of those kinds of people. You can, again, make some great art from. You can make some great meaningful art with, and really relay to the audience some morals and some life lessons. Now, often does this kind of fall on deaf ears because there are people who see lone anti-hero psychopaths and think
I want to be like that guy. That's who I want to be like.
Yeah, there are, but I mean, we can't dictate the world of art based on whether or not there are going to be morons who misunderstand it. That would be awful. That would be terrible. That would ruin storytelling from the bottom up. We would get way crappier everything than what we're already currently getting. I digress. So again, I think exploring those kinds of character archetypes can be really good and can be a really great expression of creativity. And some of the reactions that I'm seeing, some of the negative reactions I'm seeing to the show don't really seem to account for the fact that, again, you're not really supposed to like the guy. Honestly, without having seen the show, I'm not really surprised to see some of the developments narratively and some of the dialogue that I'm catching, given what we have heard on early Weeknd albums. If you look at the lyrics of House of Balloons and a number of other Weeknd songs, a lot of the storytelling deals in betrayal and mistreatment of others, especially in kind of intimate and sexual spaces, these crazy drugged out sex binges. I don't know what music you guys have been listening to, but the dynamics often in many a Weeknd song, really gross, really toxic, really awful. Stuff you're not really supposed to like or glorify or think is cool. Given how many years Abel spent writing about that kind of behavior and writing about people who would engage in that sort of behavior, is it any surprise that in this, kind of TV show directorial whatever debut, that he is embodying pretty much exactly that same character? Were you guys paying attention? Is it now gross that we're sort of like seeing it come out of a person's mouth and they're just speaking it and acting out certain behaviors on a screen as opposed to like singing about it over an instrumental? Like, if you were actually paying attention, the stuff that he's doing and how he's behaving in the show is not really a surprise. And, you know, acting that way or embodying that type of behavior just seems to be a point of artistic inspiration for him for whatever reason that it is. You know, I'm not here to sort of like analyze Abel's artistic motivations at their core. I can't tell you why or why not he is attracted to telling certain kinds of stories. All I know is that he is, and for years, he has made millions of dollars off of telling exactly this kind of narrative, but in song. And now he's telling it in a show. It's just kind of weird and surprising to me that some people are just freaking out now that we're hearing and seeing pretty much the same exact thing, but just in a different artistic medium. Now, again, not a comment on the quality of the show. Some of the clips I have seen do seem kind of cringe, like the acting isn't that great, and maybe it's a little flat and dry and lacking in expression here and there. By that same token, Abel's character is kind of a sociopath in a way, it seems, and you know, that could be a part of his sort of sociopathic you know, demeanor, his behavior. Look, I'm not here to say that I think the show is like a perfect show or that you have to love the show or anything like that. It just sort of seems like in a lot of the criticisms I'm seeing on the internet, there isn't a lot of room or nuance or consideration for the fact that, oh, it's gross. Well, maybe it's meant to gross me out. It's about all of these things, these actions, these behaviors that are kind of nasty and awful and bad. Yeah, exactly the same nasty, awful, and bad things that you were totally okay with and totally cool with and totally fine with when they were in these sad, reverby, alternative R&B songs. So, yeah, frankly, I think some of the discussion that we're seeing around this right now is silly. If the show sucks, the show sucks. Let Abel fall on that sword creatively. But I don't think that there's any reason to sort of like get up in arms over the content of what we have seen so far in the show. Because at least from what I've read from some of the interviews and commentary on the show, especially from Abel in the lead up to its release, it seems like his intention is that he wants the show to be dark. He wants it to be unsettling. He wants it to be weird, maybe even a tad bit nihilistic. And when that is kind of what's driving your artistic intent, you can't really expect there to be a whole lot of layers there necessarily. But that doesn't mean that art that you know, runs in a simple fashion like that is necessarily bad or should be discounted entirely. I'm just coming in to say, hey, art that does that, or art that comes from a dark place like that, or even a shocking place, it does have a time, it does have a place. And, you know, I mean, I guess give it the space to do what it's going to do, as long as nobody is being hurt or abused or wronged in the process of making it, of course. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. You guys are the best. Over here next to my head is another video to check out. Hit that up with a link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, The Weeknd, forever.